Button accepted.
У нас лайн нет.
What?
Ah, that's a different camera.
Different camera. Different
Okay,
camera
yeah,
altogether.
it's very confusing.
All right, welcome.
Yes, hello and welcome. And thank you for your willingness to donate 2 hours of your time to our vibe coding experiment. What we can definitely guarantee is that it's going to be a lot of fun. It might work, it probably won't, but in the end of the day, we will learn something. We will either know that this thing is ready for production because this is as production as it can be, or we will know that this thing is not ready for production and we will be smarter either way.
Yes, and not disappointed because it's going to be a lot of fun. How many of you are using the AI at your work? All right, a lot of people. So once, like we did this presentation a couple days ago in another conference, and I asked the same question. The answer was like, we're not using artificial intelligence at work because we're still fighting with natural stupidity. So we cannot. See, tough crowd.
Tough crowd. Well, yeah,
Okay.
Central Europe. No one said it's going to be easy.
Okay.
I'm trying to fit it so both the audience will see it and the camera will see it.
Yeah. Stop moving. Just like a point to my shoulder, so it will be there.
No, but then the camera doesn't see it. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So let's do it. AI IDEs face off. By AI IDE, we mean Agentic IDE. Agentic and smart code editor that basically writes the code for us, and it means that it has some kind of an agent running inside. What the first thing comes to mind when you hear agent? Agent Smith, thank you very much.
Have a bingo. It's
Yes.
better. We're getting better.
All right.
What's the second thing comes to mind when you hear agent?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's absolutely not our friend.
Okay, now let's go deeper into how do we should say it, cult movies. Any more agents? This one is hard. It's from a Christmas movie.
You can help with the picture. Maybe picture will help.
Anyone?
No?
It's Die Hard?
Exactly, and those are Agent Johnson and Special Agent Johnson, no relation.
No relation.
Yep. Right, but we're talking about other agents, and we're talking about AI agents, and everybody are now talking about agents, and everybody think about different things. So the way we define it is something that autonomously performs actions. I have a friend who calls their custom GPTs agents. Well, that's not exactly true, is it? While it is autonomous, it doesn't perform any action except of like just giving you text. So that's not a real agent. Code assistant in any other IDE.
In the past, when everything started with the code assistants, like a smart auto-completion and all these kind of things.
This is also not an agent. While it does perform agent, it's not autonomous.
Yes.
What is agent is something that does both. And the whole thing that autonomously performs actions gave an entire new software engineering practice a birth.
Oh, it's nice ways to put this, software engineering practice. Anyone practicing vibe coding these days?
Or let's define what vibe coding is. So Andrei Karpathy, who gave us a lot of AI smart stuff, defines it as like, hey, that's like the chill vibe. I just give commands to my agent in my IDE, and it writes code. And sometimes it's wrong, and I need to point it in the right direction. The code that it produces sometimes works, sometimes doesn't.
And it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you just want to have a good vibes with this code. It can create some suboptimal code sometimes, let's put it this way, but you have to accept everything. It's not like you go and teach the IDE or agent what to do. It's rather than you accept everything and try to steer it. It's about intention.
Yes.
It's about what you want to get at the end, not how you can get this, right? So it's vibe.
It's vibe, right? That's why it's called vibe coding. All right, we will show you at least 2 IDEs. What's going on? Yeah, at least 2 IDEs. At least. The first one looks like this, and this is Visual Studio Code with Agentic GitHub Copilot. So it looks like Visual Studio Code because it is. The Copilot looks like Copilot because it is. But there is a twist. It's a slightly different version of what are you doing? Yeah, okay, that's larger. It's a slightly different version of Copilot that is actually agentic. It means it's autonomously
performing
actions. Exactly. The other one looks almost the same. It's called Windsurf, and it's actually a clone of Visual Studio, so it looks like Visual Studio. And it has its own agent called Cascade. And Cascade is Windsurf's agent, which pretty much does the same, and we will talk about the similarities and differences. We will also try to show you something different that doesn't look like VS Code.
So in this case, you have some incentive to stick around until the end, because there would be third option might surprise you.
Exactly, like the cool kids on the internet
exactly.
say.
Yep. And now you can see this, they're very similar. So you have Agent Johnson and Special Agent Johnson, no relations.
Those do have a relation, right? Okay, your humble prompt typers. All we're gonna do today is type some prompts into the
Some
agents.
of us are even not gonna be typing anything. They're gonna be like
sayers,
whisperers,
prompt whisperers, right? So yours truly, Baruch Sadogurski. I'm head of developer relations in a company called TaxCare. We do absolutely awesome T-shirts. We also provide secure components for your legacy libraries that you cannot upgrade today. And if they're end of life, you are in danger. So talk to me and we will figure it out. @JBaruch everywhere on the internet. That includes your favorite social media of the week, plus LinkedIn and everything else. Co-authored a couple of books about software delivery and DevOps. And my good friend, Victor Gamov.
My name is Victor Gamov. I work at a company called Confluent, original creators of Apache Kafka. I am talking to developers about code, about Kafka, stream processing, and I also write my own demos sometimes where I'm not wipe code. Also, Gamusa at the Twitter and the Victor Gamov everywhere on internet, LinkedIn. Also wrote a couple books, but we both. It's a good conference to brag about that we're Java champions and stuff like that. So that's why there would be a little bit Java. We have like what's the crowd situation? We have a Java developers here. Any front-end people? Okay, few prompt. So this is actually great.
You know more about front-end than us.
Exactly.
So you will keep us honest, not us, our IDEs, our agents. So yeah, the reason why we brag about being Java champions is actually we are complaining that we don't know anything else. And since we're going to create a web app that we're going to talk about in a second, the Java part we can at least read and understand. Yep. Everything else is way above our heads, which makes it even more fun.
Yeah, like stack trace that doesn't cause much of anxiety. This is how we live. That's how we make our money for some time. So, but front end is going to be
it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. The most important slide of this talk is this one, show notes. If you go to speaking.jbaruch or speaking.gamov.io, you will find a page dedicated to this talk. And on this page, you will find the slides. Those slides might not be very useful, but the video, we hope it will be useful.
Yes.
We're recording right now. We'll publish it later today. And all the links, including all the rules and requirements and prompts and all of it, it's going to be there. You can scan a QR code or it's in the bottom of every slide, so you can always type it in. And with our socials and a couple of hashtags, this is DevOps Poland.
If you have an urge to tweet about this and tell other people how awesome this session is, please do. We're not gonna,
object.
Object and force your hand.
And use the hashtag DevOpsPL, so people will find it.
Trust me, there will be something to tweet about.
Oh yeah. All right. So what
I'm also extremely humble, as you can see.
No, that's what we do. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna vibe code an app, which reads average color from a webcam and then changes the color of a smart light bulb that we have right here. Now, this is very visual, so you can keep us honest and see that we actually do the real thing,
Yeah,
and it's
let
not
me show
fake
it's
or anything.
actually, does something. So, whoop.
Yeah.
Whoop.
Yeah.
So this is fantastic. This is fantastic device. It just costed 12 euros, and it has a lot of cool features for geeks. It has a built-in web server, the built-in REST API. You can connect there with like MQTT. You can do a lot of cool things. So we decided to, okay, so what we can do here? We can write some Java code, but it's, what we're going to look at the black console, but we need to do something visual. So that's why we bring our passion to home automation to the public. And also, our lack of knowledge of modern web technologies. How are you gonna get the stream from data of the video from webcam
from a browser? We have no idea.
Capture particular the frames in order to identify the dominant color, and after that, how we can translate this image into some sort of like a RGB style JSON, so we can send this to camera. We don't know about this. Like we literally didn't know until a couple of days ago.
All right. So first of all, let's start. And while our agents are going to do their stuff, we're going to talk a little bit about
what is actually happening. Yes.
Yeah, and why it is important. All right. So once I can start since I'm connected, but it's a different screen. So let's do this. All right. Here we go. All right. So we start with a completely empty repo, as you can see here. Let's make it a little bit larger so you can see which files we have. So we don't have basically anything. We have docs, which the most important document here is the requirements. And you can see here that the requirements are what we're going to do. And that's exactly what we spoke about. Project goal, build a web app that uses your webcam, etc. What technologies we want to use Spring Boot 3.5 and Java 21, and a couple of instructions of what to do, how to change the colors. And then we say, like, stay away of the stuff that you will want to use in production because we are not. And requirements from front end. Now, we have no idea what color thief is, which actually gives you a clue that the requirements are written by LLM as well.
So we went to this kind of like exercise where we will have the same requirements. I will be representing Windsurf, Mark will be representing Visual Studio Code. Same requirements, same like a startup idea. And after that, we start branching out. There's some interesting things that are in common and some interesting things that each individual IDE has and has to offer for you as a developer. So let me quickly...
Let me skip. Okay. We were talking about docs first.
Another thing is that we also went to use Claude LLM to create our requirements. This is how I basically discovered this bulb. I just saying, hey, I just need something that I can talk through REST API, something simple, but also extendable. And throughout creation of this requirement, it went to research for me and found this bulb and started putting things here. I was just like, okay, fine.
All right. The other document that we have here are the instructions. Now, the instructions or the rules that I might that they're called or guidelines that they're called in third ones are a set of practical instructions or rule or guidelines for an agent. What to do, what not to do, etc. In terms of naming, probably guidelines is the best name because they are definitely not rules, and the agent will sometimes ignore them and sometimes disobey them. So guidelines probably kind of the right...
Rather than being
the right name.
To rules, yeah.
So, and here we go and talk about what's going on, right? So again, we say what we have configured and what are the responsibilities. Maybe
critical.
Start...
What does it mean?
So, as we mentioned, guidelines. The more heavier words we use and the more like bold formatting we use, those are actually hints for our LLM to take this particular part of requirements more serious. And here, for some reason, and those requirements are also written by LLM, LLM decided that it's very important to highlight that HTTP timeouts should be configured. I'll tell you exactly why. Otherwise, the demo will be stuck and we won't be able to show you. We want to show you either a success or a failure, but something that waits for a timeout forever, probably not very good for demoing.
Yeah.
And this is something that LLM understood.
And we want to iterate like really quick in terms of fail fast and get results better instead of just waiting there, assuming that, you know, it's just slow.
And then front-end responsibilities, again, stuff that I have no idea what it means. HTML, Preact and lead HTML.
Yeah, so one of the things that I hinted to this system when we were developing this requirement, it's going to be our thumbnail for this YouTube video. I actually went in research and saying, hey, okay, use something simple but not super simple like plain HTML.
And this is what we
use
got.
like a very simple templating and stuff like that. But it's not necessarily like optional.
Again, it's guidelines. We'll see what it ends up with. And then camera access implementation. Again, some ideas of how to access camera correctly. Obviously not by us. We have no idea. Navigator media devices get user media says absolutely nothing to either of us. And the most important is refer to requirements. This is where the connection between the guidelines and the requirements happen.
Important thing is that you can actually move this instruction, or guidelines. You can create the guidelines that work for your style of programming.
Absolutely.
And you can move them from project to project, or you can also create them, like for each project you create new set of guidelines. It's up to you.
Interestingly enough, different IDEs, different agentic IDEs, have different systems of those rules. The most advanced ones are in Cursor because they are both can be defined on a project level or global level, and they can be segmented by technology.
Only difference between Windsurf and Cursor is that it's just you can create like a chunk of files versus kind of like a Cursor you have a chunk of files, in the Windsurf you have a
the files are referable and composable. You can have global rules, and then you can have particular rules for JavaScript and for Java. You can combine between the two. The ruling system in Cursor is very nice. We live in a simpler kind of plane, so we just have one file and Copilot instructions for Copilot, and Victor is going to show you Windsurf in a second. And then we have another very important step. And this is implementation planning.
Let's table this for a second. I will show the same thing what we have on the UI with let's see, full screen. So in this case, it is a Windsurf, latest and greatest version, and looks very similar to what the Baruch just showed. My requirement document is exactly the same. It's in our GitHub repo. You can go and pick it up. And one of the things that the Windsurf has is kind of like a Windsurf rules, dot Windsurf rules, that extracted some of the requirements for the implementation.
That's exactly the same idea.
I also have in this case, I do have my memories. So for example, not the memories, sorry, rules. There's a global rules. For example, in this set of rules, what I have, I like to, for every project that I will be using WebServe, I want to use GitHub CLI if I want to interact with GitHub. I prefer to use makefiles when I need to execute more than one command. And somehow this also linked to our repository. But anyway, we'll see how it works. And I can put like version of particular tools to use.
Emojis are very important.
I'm millennial. I should use emojis, of course. Yeah. Only thing what you can ask, like you can ask us, sometimes people asking, okay, I found this repository that has Cursor rules, how can I use this in Windsurf? You can absolutely use this in Windsurf because both of them, or like all the tools, they use natural language to describe your intent, your intention for the code. So basically you can, if you find the Cursor rules, but you somehow using Windsurf or using a Copilot, just copy paste. It doesn't matter. They have a little bit on the kind of like a notion where to put the things, but not necessarily very relevant to this particular.
All right. So another important thing now, keep yours because I want to show. Go to the planning checkbox.
One of the things that we're going to be doing in this presentation, we will show you a few approaches, how we can, our approach to vibe coding, one called like pure vibe coding. Baruch will be demonstrating this. I like my approach to call more like AI assistant engineering or assistant development. In the recent update of the Windsurf, they introduced more structural approach, less like a vibing, more kind of structure. It's called planning. This is kind of like a tiny button here.
So what it does?
It creates the file on your file system, and it will time to time refer to this file to keep what's the current state of the task that this particular agent perform. But also it allow you visually kind of like see what we're implementing based on the requirements. So we did this way before it was a feature. So that's
and
why.
the way we did it way before its built-in feature as Windsurf is just this. Before implementing any code, you must create a detailed implementation plan. I just instruct the agent to do exactly that. In docs/planmd, and that's exactly the file that Windsurf is using, I just instructed what to do. Project breakdown, implementation steps, integration point, testing approach, and then everything else. The interesting part here, and that's exactly what the new feature on Windsurf is doing, is stop and wait for user approval. What I want to do is actually go and see if the plan is what we want to see. All right, let's vibe code.
Just one quick thing.
Yeah, go for it.
In the repository that we will share, you'll find this the prompts, but essentially I want to start with still planning. I want to have this as a file would be created same way as Baruch has, so we can have a plain level of the field of the features. So I will just go ahead here, and again, this is where things are starting. Let's go to whiteboard.
Yeah. All right. So I'm doing the same, and I'm going to show you the prompt that I run exactly. And the prompt is let's kill this thing. The prompt is we are vibe coding red, green, blue, white control app. Remember, following the planning protocol. It's important to point to the critical points in the prompt as well. Create implementation plan first, get approval, then code, and then context. Your project is live demo web app, and follow the Copilot instructions. And also look at the guidelines when you are in doubt. And then use context 7 MCP. We are going to talk about that. Begin step by step, think out loud, outline the structure, and then what to do. So let's just do it. And let's run it. Okay, so while it started working, it obviously started working on a plan. Is your plan ready?
Yes.
Okay,
so
go for it.
In my plan, it will give me ideas what it will implement, and it will give me detailed implementation plan based on the requirements. So let's do apply all changes. So it also creates a list of tasks that can visually see like where we're standing. And actually it's also very useful if one day you decide to, okay, you're enough with all these Agentic IDEs, you still have all this process in the plain file, you can continue to do the thing and don't need to remember what you implemented or not. And this is the created detailed plan. And also I ask it to, it continues to do things right now until it will execute. It also provides, since I'm using the model 3.7 thinking, it also provides some of the thoughts process. And after that, it will speed up this somewhere in my file system in a few seconds.
Oh, you don't have it the plan yet. Okay, all right.
I have a plan that is a built-in feature inside. That's how it looks built-in right now in Windsurf. There's like a plan, and it actually says like what it will do. We'll go read requirements and things like that.
All right. Okay. So here is my plan. You switched to me, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Here is my plan, and this is again like exactly the same idea. Those are the proposed files and the proposed directories. They do not exist yet because it waits for my approval, and then the steps of what it's gonna do. Right? What's gonna go into each and every file? What will be in the application properties? How things will work? And what everything will do. Now, what it doesn't have, obvious, apparently, is the checkboxes of the implementation order. This could easily be checkbox list, and I can just go and apply a new requirement into my Copilot instructions, saying instead of numbers, maintain a list of checkbox, and while you work through it, make sure that the checkbox are actually updated. I don't need to do it. I just look at the plan and then I decide if the plan works. So this actually looks good, so I'll tell it to keep it, and then it asks for my approval. Look at that. Approval required. Before I process with any code implementation, please review and confirm. It gives me a list of what to do, and we just did. It looks good. The only thing that I noticed here is that in the application properties, the Shelly bulb IP, that's just like some default IP that it provided. Now, obviously that won't work. I do know the IP of our bulb, and that's actually the real IP is 192.168. What was it?
835.
835.
135.
135. All right. Other than that, go to work. All right.
Before it will go to work on my side, I want to also point out another thing. It's also created this document for requirements with the plan from requirements created plan. Now, what I like to do actually here is that also provide a enumerated list of tasks. I want to be like also very thorough because I'm approaching this not from perspective of vibe or accepting everything, but I'm using this as a tool that I know what I want to do, kind of, sort of, and after that I want to do this. Now, I creating this tasks document, and it will take a few seconds. And after that, before I will switch, I will show you what I will do as a prompt. So after that, this is the prompt that I usually start with this. It will create me a set of tasks grouped by phases. And in this particular case, I want to also implement by phases. I can say start with phase 1 and also proceed or not. And say, please do not start new phase until I explicitly ask you. But since we do vibing, I will tell just like, when you're done, you're done.
Always, yeah.
Yeah,
always done.
Like a finish, stop when you done. Let's see. It's creating a task document, and again, it maintains plan. It's a built-in feature inside the Windsurf. So I need to probably slightly update my workflow in order to not to duplicate things. But as you can see, this like detailed plan is stored somewhere inside the Windsurf. But my plan that I will be sharing is here in my tasks here, and I like this structure better. If individual tasks here. So all good, all nice, and it says it's done, I accept all, and after that I'm saying go to work.
Sweet. All right, okay. While they both working, let's talk about what features do we want to show you, and you already saw one, and in each and every one of the IDEs, how they differ, how they're similar, why it is important. Right, so first, let's review the stack. Spring Boot, as we mentioned, 3.5, HTML for JavaScript, and something extra that we will get back to, and it will be an interesting exercise in doing something that we don't expect to succeed.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right, okay, let's talk about features. So features to show during today's demo, models. Models are obviously important. Let's talk about models. So you, as people who are all experienced with using LLMs in your code development, what do you think about what model works? Who likes the results of ChatGPT for coding?
I saw many hands were raised when we asked if you're using AI at your work. So probably people we use some of the models, but few people mentioned
A couple of people actually enjoy ChatGPT. That probably won't be our first choice. It's great for general purpose tasks. For development, they are not the best. Gemini. Gemini, more hands. We also heard great things about Gemini. We tried it a couple of times, especially when we ran out of tokens on the models that we like more, and the results were kind of hit and miss. I'm not sure what the trick is, how to make it be as good as a lot of people claim it is. Maybe
someone is already doing something. See, the light bulb just came out.
Okay.
Yeah. You will see this. Yes.
It's some test that.
No. It's not test. It's someone in.
Yeah,
your
no, but that's
already.
like that's like the testing of the backend.
Yeah.
We probably
don't freak out. It's by design.
We probably need to speak with Guillaume about that to teach us how to use Gemini models correctly. Claude Sonnet 3.7. This is something definitely up to our alley, and up until very recently, we would both say that it's the best model for developers out there. It's really solid. Victor using it right now, and we'll see how that compares to Claude Sonnet 4. Who likes 4? Definitely not enough people obviously tried it. I guess, all right, who tried it and who tried it?
Who was blown away?
Exactly same people who liked it.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. It is a state-of-the-art model today for development. This is what I use in my Visual Studio.
Okay, fancy.
Yep, it's right here, Claude Sonnet 4 preview. Visual Studio Code gives you access to this model for free, up to some kind of quota. And when you hit the quota, you can actually switch to what it's called bring your own key. So you can see here, those are the providers that you can provide your own API key for, and Anthropic is one of them. So once you entered your key, you have an access to the models. Oh, 4 is not here. Well, maybe Victor has something to say about it. How are the models in Windsurf?
In Windsurf, we do have also a variety of the models that we can use. The way how they work right now, all this like in GitHub, you have a free version for everyone with Agent. I'm using Pro version in Windsurf, cost me $10 a month. I have a pool of credits that I can use, so this allows me to select any model that I want here. So in this particular case, I see the price. There's a few models that says free. It doesn't mean they're bad. Those models were developed at Windsurf. Now, a company called Windsurf. Before that was what called Codium?
Codium, yes.
Yes. And the way how they started business, they actually were doing the training of the programming models on the GPUs, and they have some experience of building their own models that understand code. Also, there is a set of recommended. Here.
So you don't have Claude 4 out of the box.
Well, okay, so there is a little bit drama is going on right now, because right now it's literally like a Cold War going on, and everyone is trying to dominate in some space. So what happened is that the model Sonnet 4 is developed by Anthropic, and the Windsurf was recently rumored to be acquired by OpenAI, and that creates a little bit kind of like a friction in the world. When they were announcing Sonnet 4, they would say that we have implementation partners. So it was available in Cursor. It was available in Visual Studio,
but
it was not as integration. So for this, I had to go with the
bring your own key.
Bring your own key. I created my own key. I'm paying for this tier myself in this case. And now, like if I want to switch to Model 4, I would use bring your own key. I can also use Opus, and we got a good response. But Opus also expensive, and
yeah. So
Sonnet 4 does amazing things, so I don't know what's better to ask.
So in the end of the day, both of us have access to Claude Sonnet 4, Windsurf through Bring Your Own Key, and Copilot doesn't have Bring Your Own Key for 4, but it does have 4 out of the box. So definitely, if you didn't try it, check it out. This is the state of the art as of today. Obviously, it will gonna be completely obsolete in a couple of months, but today it's really, really good. Okay, so models. Thinking mode. Let's talk about thinking mode. I have bad news for you. AI doesn't think. AI doesn't think because AI or LLMs for our purpose are completely stateless. They don't have any reasoning. What it does is we have a user and we have a service which is LLM, and every time we send a request, LLM will reply and forget everything about it. And that's because thinking about, it's red now.
Yeah.
Thinking about
Someone is doing something.
yeah, there's things are happening. Just because no one is going to maintain state for billions of conversations over millions of requests, this is just not feasible. The request at the state is managed on the user side. So if I ask how do I use Spring Boot, LLM will probably reply with something like, you cannot really boot a season of the year because, what does it even mean, Spring Boot? And using our state on the client, we can send a follow-up query. I meant a programming framework. Now, considering that it is stateless, when I ask LLM without any context, I mean a programming framework, it will go like, what? What are you talking about? I have no idea what are you talking about. So the client sends everything we spoke about previously together with the new prompt every freaking time. And if we start attaching files, if we start attaching pictures, if we start adding more stuff to the context, all this will be sent every request. And obviously, if we have a long conversation, it will grow very, very quickly. And this is where the context window concept actually starts to matter. And this is where, in some point of time, what we send is so large that it doesn't make any sense to LLM anymore. And this is what it's called, we blew up the context window, right? So that's kind of the idea. And then once we send the context, we will get a proper reply back. Now, thinking mode. This was like an introduction to thinking mode. What is thinking mode, reasoning models, and all this stuff of crap? It's not something that the model actually does. The model keep doing the same. What we have now is some piece of code that can be implemented on the client, can be implemented on the model side, on the server side, or can be implemented in a tool like our IDE that will do the back and forth for us. So we will still ask how to use Spring Boot, but now the non-sequitur reply will be intercepted by some code that will ask a follow-up for us until it actually makes sense, and only then introduce the final reply to us. So this is the entire thinking conversation that you see inside your whatever LLM client you are using. The back and forth is actually just more and more requests that provide more and more context until it actually makes sense. Now, where it is implemented, it can be implemented in a couple of places. For example, we have the app ready. Okay, we'll get to it in a second. This is intriguing.
What are we going to be doing in another 2 hours?
We're going to be fine. Thinking mode is implemented inside Visual Studio Code. You can see here something that is called thinking tool. Now, it's called tool for a reason. This tool is this exact piece of code that will do the conversation for you. It's not a thinking model, it's not thinking AI, it's just a tool that will keep the conversation going until it actually makes sense. Now, Windsurf doesn't have a thinking mode, but we will show you soon enough how can we take a third-party tool that will do exactly the same for us and actually use it in Windsurf, so it will gain the same capability without having this magic checkbox.
Quickly about thinking models. Now, let me do this bigger a little bit. So inside Windsurf, I can support Sonnet thinking. So this is essentially what they were actually part of the model, meaning that maybe based on
it's on the server side. Yeah, exactly.
They might do something, but also it has this thought process that would be communicated back. Inside communication between LLM and the Windsurf, we have this thinking process that would be exactly as Baruch said. It will maintain by IDE as well, because some time to time I can see that it will remind us, hey, do not forget, we have rules. Do not forget, like use makefile, or do not forget, use blah, blah, blah. So those things will be here. And I guess the combination of this thinking model and built-in plan, it allows to not hallucinate so much and stay on track with the implementation details.
Absolutely. Just to show you, it is done. I have a webcam here that looks at the screen. And
if anyone wants to try this, and if anyone has this like a very bright, like for example, gentleman in the orange short, if we want to step back here and we can point the camera to you and we can see if they...
we can definitely do that. So let's do this, and here you go. Is it red already? It is.
Do you have automatic mode? Yes.
Yeah. No, I'm going to send it to bulb.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, send to bulb. Did it change to red?
Close enough. Yeah, it's close. Ish.
Yeah.
It's kind of pinkish.
Pinkish. Yeah.
Pinkish. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
I think it's applause.
It's definitely applause.
We didn't do anything.
Okay. Now this is a real red. Let's put it here and make sure that it looks at it. Come on, dude, go down faster. Wait a second. Here we go. Now this is red, very red. And you see here how the color is being detected. And now send to bulb. Yep. We don't want a red because it was red. How about yellow? Yep, there you go.
Yellow with lime.
Yeah. And you see cool stuff like the backend is connected, the camera is active, the mode is auto, and I can switch it again, and it will be greenish. Something is a little bit off in the colors, but...
it's just because of the way how the camera reads this, because of how the light is set up, and the way how to translate the colors from the real world into RGB. We're not using any sophisticated algorithms. Whatever works fast, we opt out for simplicity and for better demo.
All right, next feature. Next feature is what we call the YOLO mode. YOLO stands for you only live once, and it's a very important feature of the vibe coding. It basically means what do we allow our IDE to do. And frankly, it's a delicate dance. From one side, we don't want an approval for every time it wants to run a build. From the other side, allowing it, removing everything from our operating system probably will be problematic. And IDEs try to give us this the best of both worlds. So if we look at Windsurf here, Visual Studio Code here, we can actually change the settings. Where are my settings? Here. Auto approve, yes. So we can decide if we want to give it auto approval for all the tools that it want to do. And by tools, it means the stuff like edit files, search for extensions in Video Studio Code, run tasks, run commands in the terminal, including rf-array and what's not, right? Terminal last command, terminal selection, all those tools I can first disable or enable, and also I can let it run or not. Now, if I decide not to, and I remove this checkbox, it will ask me every time with an option to allow it to run it per this programming session. So you can really tweak how bothered you want to be by those commands, or you live only once, fuck it, let's do whatever it wants. And obviously that's a feature that we are doing right now.
Yep, exactly. In the Windsurf, we do have a very similar features called auto execution, and we can turn off auto execution, and after that, every sneeze of the system will require our approval. There's auto. In this case, the Windsurf will be able to execute premium models only. Premium. And the reason for that, because some of the models, they need to understand what does it mean calling the tools. They need to, in the response, they need to provide information for client to execute the tools. Models not calling my tools directly. So for example, like the Sonnet 4 is not calling Baruch's RM minus RF, FR, because we want to remove like a French language from our system.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and in this case, the models needs to support. So that's why it says premium models. More simple models. They're not super sophisticated. They don't know what's the tool calling. So that's why they're not going to return the call, and the system will not know to. But fuck it, we're doing this live, and in this case, we're going to do in turbo mode. Always, this is like turbo mode to live by. That's the idea of the short that I need to sell to.
Yeah, absolutely.
To Windsurf folks.
All right. Next feature is MCP integration. Now, frankly, this is where the magic happened. Now, I don't know if you
how many of you heard about MCP, Model Context Protocol?
We're going to get to it in a second.
Yeah, just to understand.
I'm going there.
Yeah, okay.
Right. Now, if you are surprised by how, awesome it just happened, how fast, how precise, and frankly, if we will look at the terminal, there are no failures. It's build success from the first time, every time.
Using Model 4, yeah, so Sonnet 4.
It's not about Sonnet 4. Sonnet 4 is great, but it's still not enough. And it's still not enough because we have a couple of ways of getting information about frontend. Or, sorry, where is it? What happened? Oh, it's a wrong, okay.
You missed the slide?
It's a wrong version of slides. Switch to it and I will open the right slides.
Okay, so in order to not embarrass Baruch, I will switch to my side, and we're going to talk about what is going on my side. So there's a plan is going, tasks that have inside my system. I already have few things implemented. So now it works on the front end. Apparently the Baruch system worked quite faster, surprisingly.
Not surprisingly.
I don't know.
Skill issue.
Skill issue. You think it's you channeling your
operator issue.
Yes. Sometimes we call it the bug between the monitor and chair, right?
The model in the chair.
Yeah, the model in the chair. Yeah. And still running, going strong. Only thing that I press once, click continue, because time to time it requires you to do this. And speaking about this, the tools to execute in the turbo mode, it also has built-in linting mechanism that can pick up the issues. It's more like a feature of the Windsurf to find errors, or maybe they will run like language server in order to check the compilation and things like that. And interesting thing is that for recently they also start supporting if you will be changing something yourself. Say I will be going here, say in application.properties will be changed something. So I changed this API myself, and it picked up, and it was a long time ago in terms of conversation. You see, that's continue. That I press continue. And also we're interested in your support. And
we have no idea why the continue button is ever there. Visual Studio Code didn't ask me
so for example,
even once.
It asked me to continue, then it continues. And that's kind of like a counter to turbo mode, right? I'm just like telling everyone turbo mode, but continue.
All right, so let's continue. Back to the mind-blowing efficiency and precision of what just happened. Now, but the question of the model is how to write code using Spring Boot. And there are a number of knowledge sources for the model. The first is whatever it was pre-trained for. The cutting date for information in Sonnet 4, if I remember correctly, is the end of last year or the beginning of this year, and that means it's 6 months, 5 months ago, and 5 months ago it was a completely different version of Spring Boot, and obviously the information that it has pre-trained is obsolete. So this is not a very good idea. If it only used the information that it was pre-trained on, it would be struggling now
with the new version of
new version of Spring Boot. Models can also, or tools can also go and search online, and it might even find the right documentation, and Spring Boot obviously have great documentation, but it might also not. It might stumble into some obscure conversations on Stack Overflow with completely irrelevant information, and still will go in circles trying to fix what is wrong and going in completely wrong directions. And we saw it a lot of times. What would be the best solution is read the manual. And now, today, we actually have a way to make it read the manual. And this is an absolute game changer. It is an MCP server, and when Victor asked you if you all know what MCP server is, it's basically a way for LLM to invoke a tool which is not built in. This tool can run on my machine, this tool can run anywhere else on the internet, and this is just a protocol of how to look up information and get answers which are very, very precise.
So essentially, every time when Baruch showed you tools, this is something that was built inside the Visual Studio Code, and model provided with some information saying, hey, model, in order to get this answer, call this tool. MCP is an extension that not only whatever provided by client will be available for you, but whatever. It's they call it like USB for AI. It's terrible.
USB plug, yeah.
Yeah, it's a terrible analogy,
but you know what? It's a terrible protocol, so maybe the analogy stands. In terms of protocol itself, it's absolutely terrible. It doesn't have security, it doesn't scalability, it doesn't have multi-concurrency. It's really, really bad. But it doesn't. None of it matters.
Because it didn't exist a couple months ago. It's a February of 2025.
And as long as it does one thing, it lets the model get information from the right place that we really want to, this is all that matters. And what really changes for us the vibe coding experience was this MCP that it's called Context 7. Context 7 is an up-to-date documentation for LLMs and AI code editors. It knows about Spring Boot and was updated 4 days ago. It's super up-to-date. And what it actually did, it went through the entire Spring Boot GitHub repo and parsed all the code samples and all the documentation. And then when we are asking it, instructing and insisting in our prompts, where it is right here, use Context 7 MCP, and in our instructions, what was it?
Just search.
Yeah. Look, use Context 7 for every code block, right? Always use Context 7. We really insist that it goes there and find the information. The results are what you just saw. A working application from the first try, 5 minutes after prompt.
Yep.
This is not because, Sonnet 4 is so good. Well, it's also, but it is definitely because of Context 7. This is how it knows how to read, how to connect to webcam. This is how it knows how to call REST APIs from Spring Boot and everything else. This is really a game changer. So this is one MCP. Another very important MCP is that we also highly recommend is something that it needed for testing our front end.
Yeah.
So how do we test front end?
It's not. Yeah. Okay.
We don't, right? Whatever it's done, and then we will ship it to production, and then we will see if people can spot bugs and yell on us on social media. We can do DOM component analysis. We can ask the model to analyze the output and kind of compare it with what it was supposed to be. But how about we ask our AI to look at the AI and actually do the right thing? How does it look at the AI? Through another MCP. There is another MCP called Puppeteer, and let me show it to you real quick here. Yes, so if I go to my tools here, I see the MCP servers, and this is all GitHub. All right, so I see the Context 7 MCP. I don't have Puppeteer. You have Puppeteer.
Yes, but my application is not ready yet. It's still,
but you can show what Puppeteer can do.
But right now it's not. The application is not ready to do anything.
Yeah, no, but you can show the list of the operations.
Oh, yes.
That's what I mean.
Okay,
yep.
Good. So in a list of tools that I can use in my particular case, I do have this different tools like GitHub MCP server that allows me to tell my agent to go and save my files in the GitHub. After that, go and fetch the GitHub action run and check why it fails. There's a MCP Playwright that allows me to test API responses, and there's a Puppeteer that allows me to do some cool things. Puppeteer, it is tool that, where's my configuration, manage plugins, and with Puppeteer, I have a multiple different interesting tools. First of all, it can autonomously open browsers with URL. Mm-hmm. It can get a screenshot and pass the screenshot back to the Cascade window, and the Cascade window will be able to find the errors. Puppeteer can understand and go through the different the CSS, what's the word? Selectors, mm-hmm. So it can navigate to particular element, to click buttons, wait the responses. It is incredible. Just we need to wait a few seconds until the code will be fully implemented, and I will be able to demonstrate. But the most important thing is taking screenshots and then analyzing those screenshots. This is a real game changer. Exactly.
Do you see how the color changes? I run continuously different colors, and then it just feeds it there.
Yeah.
It still works.
It still works?
Mine, yeah, and yours still doesn't. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will explain why at the end.
Of course. You always have an excuse. That's a good start.
Of course.
All right. Okay. MCPs of note. So obviously Context 7, and I cannot stress enough how paramount this small MCP server is, and how huge the impact on what we are doing it has. Puppeteer, what we just saw. Here is how we bring thinking model or reasoning to every model. There is an MCP called sequential thinking that will be this piece of code between us and the machine that will bounce the requests out of LLM until it actually makes sense. As we said, there is no magic. LLMs cannot think. Stuff like a simple MCP with sequential thinking can bring sequential thinking to any model. GitHub MCP is just very, very useful. Then you can ask your LLM to do stuff like periodically checking your code after each and every step when you vibe code. So when it does something stupid, you can roll back easily to a previous step. And again, it won't hallucinate by copy-pasting GitHub commands from like random places. Instead, it will just use the official GitHub APIs, because that's exactly how it works. Generally, a list of awesome. I need to stop it for you to work. Give me a second.
No.
No, but I override you. Wait a second.
but-
I'm almost done. Come on, I have one last line.
Okay.
A list of recommended MCP servers you can find at Pankai, awesome MCP servers on GitHub. The list is huge, it's going larger and larger every day. And
you mentioned very important thing about security. There is a S in MCP that stands for security,
yes,
obviously.
yes.
Remember, when we're using someone else's code that you're running this on your local machine, some of the code is really awesome. Some of the code might be malicious
Not so awesome.
by design. So use your own judgment until this would not be solved in some sort of kind of repository.
MCP2. Yeah. All right. Okay. Victor was very eager to show that his thing also maybe kind of works.
Yeah. So as you can see, it also produced nice looking UI. It's not terrible, and it has a camera here. And what I will do here.
Don't you have like a virtual camera that switches colors?
No,
you
point.
don't.
Yeah. Usually I have, but for some reasons I decided not to do enumeration. So
I have camera selection. Just saying.
So I'm running this purple. Let's see if I will be able to run some other colors. Say, where is it? Like, say this one. It works, right? No? It did.
Nice. No, it did.
Kinda nice.
Kind of nice.
So,
So the camera selector doesn't work. Kind of nice.
We'll continue with.
Yeah.
Oof! What happened?
What happened?
It just like blew up.
Okay. All right. Okay. So before we switch to other cool stuff, you know what? Are we ready for the follow-up prompt? I think we are. Let's do that.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that. So one thing that kind of Victor ran into and I ran into as well is that we needed to specify the IP of the bulb. And the IP is being, right now at least, hard-coded into our application. Where is it? Backend.
It would be nice, right?
Right.
To
Backend source resources application properties. It is right here. Mine has a correct IP because I remembered to give it to it when I approved my plan, and Victor actually had a failure, and because the IP was wrong, and then had to go and type it in himself because skill issue, as I mentioned. But we can do better. What we can
Can I quickly show before we jump into this one?
Go for it.
I want to show one thing is here. So in the Windsurf, they have built-in capabilities that allow not only, it has a built-in browser now. I can open this one Windsurf browser, run this version of the application. It has this now.
Now you have a selector.
Now
nice.
we have a selector. And if we can do auto mode, let's see if it's... Didn't work. But I can see, like, send logs. I can take a screenshot and send this back to Windsurf, and now it has a context. That doesn't work. Doesn't work. Fix it. That's how we're dealing with.
That's vibe coding.
With the programming mistakes.
Yes.
But default set that's stupid. That's why it's not working.
Oh, that makes sense.
It makes sense. It didn't listen when I said it needs to be 8135, and I can do automatic mode and send to bulb. And
still get server
still probably just already killed the server and things like that. No.
All right. Okay. Ready for the follow-up?
How are we going to solve this problem if we need to put this IP address?
Yeah, so in order to prevent those kind of problems, we are going to improve our application. And now I'm going really to vibe code. I'm going to do it with voice. So let's add an automatic discovery for our bulb so we won't have the IP hard-coded. A number of rules. First of all, use JM DNS library for auto discovery. Obviously, consult context 7 for the documentation. Make sure you don't discover the IP on a localhost loopback interface because it won't be there. And also add a discovery status and the discovered IP. Okay, it didn't listen to me. Not all the way to the end. All right, so let's see what's going on. Excellent idea. Let's add automatic DNS discovery, and it will use JMDNS library and consult context 7 for documentation. Quick question. Who ever heard about JMDNS library?
That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Yeah.
We never heard about it either until we started to work on this demo. Did you switch to
this
yourself?
is awesome. No, I switched to
okay, full screen. Okay.
This awesome bulb not only can do the REST API and MQTT, it actually can be auto-discovered. And there is a protocol for auto-discovery
called the MDNS.
MDNS that allows to other the network devices discover other network devices.
And apparently there is a Java implementation for MDNS called JMDNS that we never knew about it. And obviously Claude Sonnet 4 has no idea what it is. But I can almost guarantee you, it's hard to guarantee anything with LLM, that it will do it correctly on the first try. And it will do it correctly on the first try because Context 7 knows about JMDNS. Now, the way it knows about it for 3 days. It had no idea about the existence of this library before. And the way I did it is by pasting the GitHub project URL 3 days ago. I cannot stress enough how excited I am about this small MCP server. It changes literally everything. Think about what are the chances that the model will get it right on the first time without it with this obscure Java library. There is absolutely not a chance in the world. Now we'll give it a couple of more seconds, and now we have a successful build.
Did you tell it not to use the loopback interface?
Yes, I did, and this was caught. It's only the part about the status then.
And this is actually very important. We're going to talk about this maybe at the end when we have a discussion about this, but having knowledge or expertise on about certain tools is actually give you advantage rather than you feel like, oh, you know, like every kid will start doing vibe code and stuff. Because we were in this world of crappy software and crappy IoT devices, cheap Chinese things. We knew that some of the things might not work because they were like talking to local host all the time, or they're not bound to particular the network interface. So that's why we're providing some little bit of context, because we knew that if the application will start using this local host, it will not gonna found this bulb, and that's why we need to provide this little bit of the context.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at your code.
Yes.
And I see that it actually went and searched the web instead of doing context 7. Tell it no.
It's serendipitous segue. You did this professionally. So inside remember tools, but the bar showed the tools when he showed the Visual Studio Code. In the Windsurf, they have a built-in feature, also tool, that allow to go and search web or search documentation websites to find the right thing. So in this particular case, it experienced some errors, and see this freaking color thief actually gives us some problems. And
not us. Let's not
generalize. I understand. Yeah, and it just start picking up this, and okay, it looks like I'm trying to hallucinate with this color thief. Let me try to get this page, and after that, let me replace this library. So it was trying to edit this. And that's what it does. So inside these tools, once again in the Windsurf, there's a bunch of things here. So whenever it edits, we can see like a list of the changes. Again, I'm in the wipe mode, I accept everything, but you can accept something and reject some other things. It has a built-in terminal, so I can see that the Spring Boot application will be running this built-in terminal. And it has this web preview, so that will run this. But also it has ability, give me a second, I can include here, say docs, and after that I can say docs, whatever docs they have. It has some predefined set of docs. Let's see, Spring is there, but there's no JMDNS,
of course not.
So for that, I need to use this MCP tool. I do have this. I don't have a context 7.
That explains a lot.
I was stupid.
People, now you see the real difference,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
This is exactly why this thing, and I mean, Victor is awesome. Rookie mistake, happens to the best of us. But it's actually even better demo now.
Yeah.
Because you can see the difference about the attempts of the best model out there
So
to
I'll
solve
go
this problem without context 7.
7 MCP, and I'm going here. I'm just trying to grab this to install this immediately inside. Oops, too fast.
No, go. There is like on the website there is a
There's
button.
install and Windsurf.
all right, here we go.
I can copy.
People start leaving because you didn't use context 7.
Yeah.
I cannot blame them. I would leave it.
I know. I don't blame them either. I blame myself.
Amateurish.
Absolutely. So let's see this. If it's
It's a local command. It's not web.
that doesn't matter. It will work. I have npx
okay.
installed.
Okay.
The
You
problem
have
is
it?
with the freaking alignment of this.
All right, do YAML stuff, and he's doing YAML stuff. Haha. And we are going to do this. All right, so discovery is actually done. It's implemented correctly and properly, and you can see the colors changing. That will be orange now, orangish, and now it will be bluish. Here we go. Yeah, it works. And here you can see that it's very excited that the discovery actually worked. Fantastic. The MDNS discovery is working properly, and you can see here that the IP became a fallback, and we can actually comment it out. It will work the same, and that was pretty impressive. Another use of context 7.
Yeah.
All right. So while Victor is struggling,
No, I'm actually not struggling. I just want to show the this thing is now it refreshes the tools, and my context 7 is here as well.
so now it will fix everything. Just tell it to redo everything with context 7.
Yeah, please
Fix everything using
fix
context 7.
everything using context 7 documentations.
Perfect.
It's because it's stuck in this crazy loop.
It's good that I noticed that it actually went to the web
I know,
instead
right?
of
Yeah,
right.
I know, right? And also, I want to show how this tool call would look like inside this inside the Windsurf. So it still continue to do planning. Now obtained via documentation and official sources. Let's see
Here we go.
if it will start calling the tool.
Here we go.
That's what I'm expecting it will. So let's use context 7.
There you go.
Now we can see this will try to get all the things from the server.
And this here you see the API between the MCP and the LLM. Resolve library ID. It needs to provide the library ID. The library ID was color thief, so it's provided, and now it will bring back all the documentation about the library from context 7.
It takes longer than expected.
Because it doesn't know how long it's supposed to be, because it's an MPC that it never heard before. MCP.
Yeah.
So that's weird. All right. Okay. So let's talk about other stuff. Important distinction between those IDEs is how they treat the generated code. So basically, whose code is that? Not us, but we asked LLMs to read the end user agreements of all those tools, of all those IDEs, so you won't have to, and we saw some things which are similar and different. For example, all of them are definitely saying that whatever is generated is yours, but we cannot guarantee that it is unique to you, for the obvious reasons, right? Because it will generate the same code for everybody who uses the same tool, or more or less the same code. Only Juni, out of the 4...
What's the Juni?
Out of big 4, you wanna...
That's a good segue, because...
All right, let's do Juni first.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So... We
promised you a surprise.
We lied on the very beginning, yes, and we promised you surprise that there's another tool that's called IntelliJ IDEA, my favorite IDE. I don't know how many of you are there, and they have this very unique agentic tool called Juni. How many of you heard about Juni at all? How many of you actually tried this? Not many.
Yeah, you should.
Yes.
You should. We're going to talk about it right now.
This is actually very interesting because it doesn't have this like fancy things like MCP. It doesn't have this integration with all the things that we just showed.
Model selection, nope.
Only thing that it has, this. You have a chat window and you can do the thing.
YOLO or not YOLO?
Yes, YOLO or not YOLO, and sometimes you want to ask, but like whatever. And that's it. And
you cannot select a model, you cannot connect MCPs, you cannot select tools, you cannot do any of the features that we listed as so important for Agentic IDEs. But it doesn't mean that it's not there. It's just opinionated.
I was running all the things what we just showed you in the two IDs same time. I was running this in the Windsurf, and in parallel I was using the same commands against the same requirements document, and it creates also plan, it creates its task, and it created this code for me with probably 3-4 commands that ask continue, fix compilation error, continue, and this is actually a result, working result of this tool that was.
So you lied twice.
I lied
it's
twice.
not Windsurf.
It's not Windsurf yet. Yep.
Windsurf is still struggling.
Windsurf still struggling, but it's also struggling for some reason. Discovery service is not working yet. But we'll get to it. Now, we will talk about Juni a little bit in a second. Baruch will want to finish his slide, and we can talk about the kind of like we do have. So I will talk about this now. Now, sometimes. It is
what
actually.
What are you doing with the light bulb? It was very bright for a second.
There's some tests. You see, that's.
Oh, okay.
Oh, now I need to kill it. You turn on your thingy, so it'll kill it.
Okay.
Sometimes having something opinionated is actually a very good idea. Sometimes is that when the combination of this agentic workflow works together with tools that are available inside IDE, and they know what they're doing with this code. So Juni actually does a lot of what we call thinking inside. It's not actually thinking. It has this loop that self-check responses from LLM and validates this, so it will create it has less mistakes.
And obviously the tools are available inside IntelliJ are much more superior, especially for Java development, for example, that we have in Visual Studio Code. The semantic code analysis, the abstract syntax tree, all those powerful features are exactly there. So we don't need to connect a Java syntax check tool because it's right there, and this is what Juni takes advantage of inside IntelliJ. So it has more unique features, as we mentioned. For example, does it work? No? Okay. All right.
Yep.
Yep.
Just kill it a little bit. Yeah.
All right. More things like, for example, Juni skips training on your code. And this is unique. Visual Studio Code, Windsurf, and Cursor will all, by default, train on the code that it generates for you.
Locally.
Locally.
Kind of, sort of.
No, not locally. They train whatever they want to train. For example, Windsurf trained their SW whatever model, SWE model on the code that it generates for you right now. You can opt out. Sometimes you need an enterprise plan for it, but by default, only Juni won't train on your model. Another feature is that only Copilot inside Visual Studio filters viral open source code and offers legal protection for it. What does it mean? You all know that there are viral open source licenses like
GPL.
GPL. If a model threw in a piece of code which is licensed under GPL in some product, your code that it just generated, which might be a part of a bigger product, all of it has to be by law open source. This is obviously very dangerous and a terrible idea. Because Copilot is GitHub Copilot, they know about pretty much all the open source source in the world. And they can spot and then warn you that this piece of code that was generated is actually viral open source license. And they are so confident in their ability to do that, that they take legal responsibility for that from you. If this filter is turned off and you got sued by someone for using their open source without open sourcing it, GitHub will go to litigation and will pay the bill.
Time, you have anything to say? I want to show, like, there's good opportunity to show the
One more line.
One more line.
Only Copilot, GitHub Copilot in Visual Studio warns about and blocks matching open source code. You can see here, if I can find it real quick for you, I can open my controller and see here at the code lines. Yeah, sometimes I don't have a good example here. Or you know what, let's try a model maybe here. No, so sometimes you will see here a pop-up that says found in X more places, 2 more places, 50 more places, with a link that will open all those GitHub projects that this open source code is part of. Sometimes it's not a problem, it's just code that everybody writes. Like, for example, getter for a variable red. Hundreds of projects have that, and it's not a problem. Sometimes you want to know about that, and only GitHub Copilot in Visual Studio Code will show you those snippets and will point it to other code that is similar to the code that is generated, which is also pretty nice. Go for it, Victor.
I wanted to show the things that Baruch was talking about with Puppeteer and follow this time. Now, the good opportunity, because my front end was returning 500 error, and I was like, hey, just go fix that. Now, I'm using the playwright to investigate the API calls, and it will say that it's using this one. And now, it will navigate. It created the headless.
No, not headless, but testing.
Yeah, testing mode for Chrome, and I will try to see what kind of errors and try to open. It says like open browser console. Let's different approach, and it start iterating. Some of the things are failed, script execution failed, illegal statement, blah blah blah. And this is where the tool starts communicating with the thingy and start seeing what's the errors were coming from and so far and so on. Because those things are, let's see if I do have, because I might be dumb and don't have the Puppeteer is here, playwright is here, and context 7 is here. So let me wait to see how this will continue to play out. Let me continue investigating backend error 500.
All right, so while Victor continues to investigate, I want to take our conversation, because, I mean, you saw the demo, it's pretty much done.
Discovery, did it work for you?
Yeah, Discovery worked, of course. I showed it already.
You see? You
Yeah. Discovery worked, the IP is now in comments, and the Wi-Fi died. I don't know if it's only for me. But for me, the Wi-Fi died, so it's all disconnected and nothing works. Even the Copilot says
did you
that.
Connect to...
Yeah, it's Vulkan. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's still, you cannot do...
Yeah, no, nothing. It just doesn't have internet. I'll try it again. Yeah, no, I don't know if it's like the venue internet or our small router died, something died. But okay, you saw the demo, it's done and the discovery worked. The only thing that I wanted to do now is show you the discovery in the UI, the part of the prompt that it didn't listen for me, but it's completely optional because we knew that it works. While Victor is fixing everything using context 7, I wanted to take our conversation to a higher level. And I wanted to show you a framework that will give you much more confidence in the code that LLM generates. Okay, how many of you, after seeing this demo, thinking, okay, you know what, fuck it, Monday all my code is going to be vibe coding? Okay, brave people, That's impressive, and it goes into our, I guess, conviction skills.
Yes, exactly.
But actually, I probably won't do it. But there is a twist. We can still use the same ideas of vibe coding with providing much more confidence that what we have in the end is exactly what we asked up front. So we obviously have a trust problem. I would say like 90+% don't trust the code that we generated, although obviously the code that generated for me was absolutely flawless. But I don't blame you. We are going to fix it. And it's not only you. Stack Overflow survey, the last one, shows that neither trust or distrust and someone distrust and highly distrust is way more than 50% of the people when it comes to AI code. We distrust AI code for sure. And there is a very good reason for it. There are studies already that actually show that the code that is generated is completely wrong in a huge percentage of cases, from 65% to 30%. Most of the code that is generated is wrong. That was without context 7. You actually saw here that's exactly 50%. All code on this side was perfect. All code on this side was meh. Right? Not only that, it's also very dangerous because it introduces security risks like there is no tomorrow. It doesn't know that they introduce security risk. So that's another problem, obviously, that they have as well. And when you try to fix the problems, it goes exactly as you might expect. It goes terribly wrong, and more so, in our experience, whatever wasn't right in the first time will probably get even worse after LLM spins to try to fix it. And this is exactly the spiral that Victor is now on.
Yes.
He tries to fix it and it actually gets worse and worse. Now, the problem is that it's not only machines. Let's talk about software design documents. Software design documents are great pieces of documentation that are right once and read maybe once, but probably never.
Most likely, yeah.
The problem with those documents is mostly human misunderstanding. Human misunderstanding happens on multiple levels. First might be something funny like that, but mostly is because what it's called a curse of knowledge. A curse of knowledge is a cognitive, it's a cognitive bias that we all have in mind, that what we know is trivial knowledge because we already process it and we live with it, and for us this is basic stuff. If you went to a university and encountered not very good professor, you definitely know what I'm talking about. You kind of enter the room and the chalkboard looks like that, and this is like obvious stuff. They won't even bother to explain it because they expect you to know it just because they know it. It's very true for, it's a very real battle for educators, for teachers, for conference speakers, etc., etc. But
sometimes you think something is obvious, so that's why you just skipping it, or sometimes it's something is that like so obvious that you don't need to even put this into writing.
But this happens a lot also between humans in work environment. What product managers meant when they put it into software definition document is not what the developers understood when they went to implement this feature, and you know it for sure. So the software design documents don't work for multiple reasons. Human misunderstanding, the curse of knowledge, is one of them. Other very popular one is vague responsibility boundaries. Who is in charge for defining what's wrong and what's right, and whose fault is it when it doesn't work? we've been into this power struggle with a lot of different positions in IT. If you remember, maybe 15 years ago, that was a very popular picture, that developer and tester are somehow in animosity between them, and there is some kind of rivalry going on. Who thinks that this is the case? No one, because this is absolute bullshit. QA actually helps us to get better software. Thank you very much, QA people. We love you. We definitely not fight you. Then it was the same with Ops. You remember, again, 15 years ago, before DevOps, that was like the big thing. Silos going back and forth, throwing responsibility from one to another. This is all obviously solved with DevOps. And then we have the same animosity between developers and product. Now, this is kind of real. This is like, hey, this feature is not what we asked for. Well, because you developed it wrong. No, because you didn't explain it correctly. This stuff is very real. And it means that we have a trust problem not only with AI. This trust problem is one of the reasons why this is the state of software we're living in. My favorite Venn diagram of all times. I think you can relate. Tough crowd. Oh no, there's some giggling. All right, okay. But you know what? We do have working software sometimes. How do we manage when we have those huge problems of trust between different aspects of our software? Well, first of all, good intentions. Even if we have this animosity between product people and developers and QA and ops, in the end of the day, everybody wants to do their best and develop the best software. And this obviously helps. This is how we do meetings, we talk between people, we figure stuff out, and this actually helps. Professionalism, which is another part. If we see something doesn't make sense in a software definition document, we will apply our expertise to do the right thing. And most of the time it will be the right thing. Tests and QA keep us all honest and make sure that the software that we write is actually working. And end result observation. We go and we look at the stuff that we create, right? One thing that helps us really with misunderstandings is common or common-ish context. Yes, product managers are not developers, but they are in software industry. So we have some kind of common knowledge. It won't be as bad as you cannot boot a season of the year. Yeah. When we talk about Spring Boot, and they will know more or less what we are talking about.
Exactly, and the some of the common vocabulary is similar how we set this context for our LLMs as well.
Exactly. Now with LLMs it's fun. LLMs has no intentions at all, good or bad. LLM has obviously no expertise in software development. LLM doesn't do any tests or QA unless we ask it, and even then it will adapt the tests to match the code and not vice versa, or will just skip tests because this is how it works. And then there is no end result observation, except of the rare case of puppeteer that we showed, but that's an exception. And there is no common context at all, because you cannot boot a season of the year. So it's much, much worse with LLMs than between humans. And this is what we call intent to prompt chasm. And that's an example of Spring Boot, right? So what we ask LLM to do and what LLM does are two completely different things. And it's not only because we cannot express to it what we want, it won't understand us, won't do QA or apply expertise. It's also because LLMs are stochastic systems. They are not deterministic by design. When we give LLM the same prompt multiple times, it will by design generate slightly different responses. Why? Because this is how neural networks work. We have what is called a temperature of the network, and this temperature goes from 0 to 1. 0 means there is no ability to find similarities and predict next words. it means that it doesn't work. 1 means the difference between words that we allow is so large that the model will hallucinate. So we cannot have it on 0, and that means that there is a variability. And if there is variability, those are not deterministic systems by design. The best kind of analogy that I can think about is the infinite monkeys theorem, which goes, as you probably know, as follows. If you give infinite numbers of monkeys, infinite number of typewriters, given infinite time, monkeys will generate Shakespeare. Right? You all know that. Now, this is pretty much the same with a slight difference that we gave them GPUs instead of typewriters, and they are not exactly random, but kind of skewed from randomness towards something that makes sense. But in the end of the day, they will generate a lot of garbage and sometimes generate something good. So what could possibly go wrong? And then you can say, you know what? It's fine. We have a way to review the generated code. What is this way? Literally, code review, right? And then I will ask you, how thorough are you in your code reviews? Our industry has looks good to me problem. And it has look good to me problem for a very good reason. We are fucking busy. We don't want to switch context to do code reviews. And we also very in love in ourselves and the code that we write, to the point that we don't really like read other people's code. Now, we obviously like even less to read machine-generated code, because it's not something that we have any relationship to, and there is really no need to give it respect that we might want to give to our colleagues' code. This is literally almost a compilation result from the prompt, and none of us want to review a bytecode even if we can understand it. So the result will be, looks good to me. Code review won't fix this problem, and we are ending with this problem. AI coding agents is a real danger to all software quality in the world. Terrible? Yes. Can we do better? Yes. The way we can do better is called verifiable intent. Verifiable intent means that we can build in integrity that will guarantee that what we have in production is exactly what we asked in prompt, using something that is called intent integrity chain. Now, how can we express intent in the way that machine will understand? Instead of software definition documents, we can use tests. They're always up to date, they generate consensus, and they parsed by a machine. Does it look familiar? TDD, thank you very much. TDD sounds like a great idea for LLMs. We write the tests first, and then we say to LLM, write the code until the tests pass. What it guarantees? It guarantees that what we asked in the tests is exactly what we got. Now, remember who writes software definition? Who writes software definition? Product people, business people. They are not going to write any tests. Nope, not gonna do that. What else we can do? You know what? Let's do something more akin human language. Instead of doing tests, let's do something that almost won't look like code. We will describe behavior instead of tests, and it will be almost in English or Polish or any other human language.
Sounds like intent, no?
What this looks like? BDD. Thank you very much. That looks like BDD. And BDD specs are definitely readable by product people. But if you ask them to write the specs, they probably won't be very keen to, because they are creative artisan spirits. They want to write software definition documents which are almost like Shakespeare. This given when then is not really let them express their creativity, so they are not going to write any specs. But the developers will probably still write tests first, right? Even if the business people want, right?
Any TDD fans?
Who does TDD? Yeah, exactly. Yep. All right. So first of all, there is a good explanation why we want to write tests first. Because we are biased for action.
Exactly.
When we know there is a problem, what are we thinking of?
Just like what we want to have an example.
How to fix it.
How to fix it.
Not like how to test
and exactly
that the problem
I'm
is
trying to approach this type of things, like fix this.
Fix this, right? We already know how to solve the problem. And of course, we are going to solve it instead of writing tests. Now, you know what's good? We have LLMs that can write the test for us, which is pretty nice.
Yep.
Okay, so with those pieces, let's see what we can do. What about we all together, product people, business people, developers, write a description of what our software should do, like a spec, like our requirements document that we did. Once this is ready, we will ask LLMs to generate those rigid specs. We don't need to write them, product people don't need to write them, business people don't need to write them, but everybody can read them. And this is critical because we can show it to business people and say, hey, does it look right to you? Yes, it's a little bit weird format, all those given when then, but you can read it, right? Make an effort. Does it look good? Is it what you wanted? If everybody approves that, we can then review and agree upon, we can then generate the tests out of those specs. And from those tests, we can run test-driven development until the code satisfies the tests, which means that it satisfies the specs, which means that it satisfies the original design. Nice? Nice. There are two problems that I can see right here. The first is how the tests are generated, and the second is
how to validate
are we sure that the tests are really what the specs would ask them to do, and the code is really didn't alter any tests in order for tests to pass? Those two pieces are particularly critical because never trust a monkey. If we let
never trust the test that you didn't see fail.
If we let LLMs generate specs and tests and then run those tests, there is a good chance that a malakari will be somewhere there and the specs won't be exactly, and the tests won't be exactly matching the specs, and then when the code is being written, the specs won't be messed with. So, with never trust a monkey, let's see what's going on. So, prompt. Prompt is written by humans. By default, it cannot be trusted because, as we spoke about, we have the issue of miscommunication, etc., etc. The spec is generated by monkeys. Whatever is generated by monkeys, we can never trust. The test is generated by monkeys from the spec, but does it have to be? Remember, we can use automatic test generation from specs, like what Cucumber does. In that case, we throw the monkey out of this part of the loop, and we have algorithmically proven test generation from specs. No malakari. We know for sure that the test will be as the spec follows. And this is what Gherkin plus Cucumber, for example, does. We write the specification, and the tests will be automatically generated to pass this spec. So we fix this problem. And then the code will be generated, and while it has access to tests, it can screw the tests to match the code. How do we do it? We'll lock the monkey out. If we make our tests read-only after they are generated, we can guarantee that if the code passes, it actually passes the tests, and the tests are correct. So we can also trust the code. Right now, old Russian proverb spoken perfectly by Ronald Reagan in 1989 sounds like "доверяй, но проверяй," which means trust but verify. So let's see, how do we verify the parts that we don't trust? So we have the prompt. It's created by humans. It's verified by other humans when we do the review of the documents. The spec is generated by monkey. We cannot trust it, but we can definitely verify it by reading the specs. And remember, specs are readable. We convinced our business people and product people to read the specs and verify them. Test is generated by machine. We don't have a problem with verification. And code is generated by monkeys. Now, who reads the tests and the code? No one. Because we don't read LLM generated code. But we don't need to, because they are both completely safe. The tests are generated by the machine. We don't need to read it, we trust it. And obviously, the code is completely trustworthy because the tests pass. And the tests are read-only, so this is completely safe. So this is how it really works. Everybody writes text, the original document. Specs are reviewed by all because they're human readable. SSDs are specs, are living docs now. We have great documentation, and everything else is derived from the spec. And all the code that no one wants to read, including us, is verified the machines, so no one really needs to read this code. And generally, intent integrity chain, now thanks to LLM, is exactly what BDD was meant to be and never was. We define and agree on intent, and then we verify everything AI does automatically or by humans, and we don't trust AI for what we won't verify, like the code that we won't read. We don't trust AI with that. And the real question is Gherkin and Gherkin specs or cucumbers are good enough? So they are good enough because they work and because this is what we have right now. We can implement, and we have another demo that we won't run right now, but we have another demo that actually has the intent integrity chain working. On the same demo, all the steps works exactly the same, and we can guarantee that it works. But it's not perfect. Stuff like non-behavioral constraints are hard to describe in this format. How do we describe lack of vulnerable artifacts in given when then? Kind of hard, right? Non-functional requirements like performance, also kind of hard. So what I think that if this thing really works, if this thing really catches up the intent integrity check, better speccing tools will emerge. And we already have one that is almost there. It's called Tessel, and it's a very interesting framework that does exactly that. AI native development built from your specs. So this might be the piece that will replace Gherkin and Cucumber when we talk about it. And then we are back to Andrei Karpathy. The hottest new programming is English, because this is how we really do stuff. And it's true for absolutely mindless vibe coding, like we did in this session, and it's very true for coding with intent integrity chain built in, which also starts in English and get verified in English, and everything from there is just levels of compilation. So intent integrity chain, generate consensus, features are verifiable back to the requirements, and we can start trusting AI code. There is still work to be done, especially in how we are able to spec stuff that we are not able to spec right now. But generally, this is one way to make sure that our vibe coding actually is production ready. Victor, how are you doing?
We're doing great. A couple of things that I wanted to showcase while we were listening this presentation. By the way, there is somewhere on the internet even more thorough version with some examples. Again, you know where to find this in the speaking.jbark.ch. Couple things. Definitely the context 7 help with a quick implementation. So for example, let me quickly scroll up to the point where we're implementing this. So for example, this is how it worked with MCP server. The MCP server will give this library, discover, and give me a snippet what it will use. Fantastically works. And the cool thing is that Windsurf has context 7. JetBrains doesn't have context 7. So I spent a few minutes figuring out why JetBrains fails, why Juni fails, because it didn't know about local interfaces. It will bound to bridge, and after that, discovery doesn't work. So this type of stuff would be definitely avoidable with this kind of like up-to-date documentation. Now, next thing is that I was talking about UI. We're talking about Puppeteer. Puppeteer went to explore like the UI.
This is the vision that it actually saw that the app is running in the UI by taking a screenshot and then analyzing it.
For example, it found, I said, hey, there's a 500 error on the UI, go investigate. So it went there, took a screenshot, status message, found the error, after that found the what was the issue with that like IP address was incorrect in input, blah, blah, blah. We put this information. And what I noticed, actually, we used the planned planning mode first time today on the stage. We're super brave. It's actually, a little bit slower. So that's why we cannot just like say that like Juni now like the slowest. With the thinking, with the planned mode, it actually spends more time kind of on figuring out. Yeah, exactly. Now, and the third thing that I wanted to show is it's supposed to be done implementing our discovery service, and the Juni also implemented discovery service. If I will go here, discovery service should found the bulb in this. And if I use my virtual camera, say here, that will have this, and I'll do this. It works as intended. My virtual camera just connected to this website that updated colors. By the way, this website also was created just a couple minutes before presentation. So that website that we use today for monitoring colors, we
also vibe coded
100%. Even using MCP server from GitHub, it was able to create the project on GitHub, push it, created GitHub static pages. And because we were using this like a phone into the camera, that was not super useful for this use case. So that's why I said, okay, let's have a website that automatically would change the color, and we feed this into this as a virtual camera inside this application. This is how we give you kind of like experience of.
So let's talk a little bit about the differences that we all experienced here. So first of all, you saw that
different screen.
No, it's fine. I'm not showing anything. Well, I can do it. It's not right one. Here. So we saw how Visual Studio Code was obviously the winner, and that was for not because
I ran two things.
Not because
at the same time.
It was a joke. Not because of me, not because of Visual Studio, but because of Context 7, thank you. Yes, absolutely. This is what makes a huge difference. Without it, you saw how hard it was to get it right on the first try.
Even with existence of the tools like searching documentation, searching the web, and all these kind of things, because internet is bad place.
And then if we compare between Visual Studio Windsurf Cursor with Juni, Juni will definitely be your winner, because it uses much richer tools inside IDE. But Context 7 changes the picture entirely. And with Context 7, even a dumber IDE like Visual Studio or Windsurf actually managed to do much better job, much faster than than Juni. So yeah, MCP servers and access to tools emerge like the most critical parts. Obviously, the smartness of the model also counts, but we use the same model.
No, you're using models 4.
Yeah, and you use
4.
3.7.
It's not all about the. It's not all about the IDE, and the model is also important.
Yes, but I would say,
like jokes aside, like we were doing this for a couple of weeks. We were trying the different things. We were trying the different demos. We were working very closely from perspective of like being super dumb and sleep deprived to work on those things. And seriously, the Sonnet 4 is the best there is thing for developing for programming. It costs money, yes, but it definitely costs less that you will be hiring, the people,
developers and stuff,
and things like that.
Yeah, and obviously the intended integrity check is very important. On the bright side, since you listened to the intended integrity check presentation, you're all getting a pass from attending my session tomorrow, because that will be that. It's a short session during lunch that I will present the exact same presentation. So you all got 2 in cost of 1, which I hope you...
3 if cost of 1.
You didn't do any presentation about Kafka, it doesn't count. So I think it definitely worth your while. And I would just want to give it one more second to see if we can get the status working on the web page, the status of discovery, and if not,
what are you talking about? This one, like this one?
Yes, exactly. Status. This one. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I have it.
Yeah, you have it. I don't have it because it stopped listening to me when I vibe coded with voice.
Excuses.
Yeah. But let's see. It will get it right on the first time. That would be. Oh, here we go.
Are you running this in internal browser?
What do you mean? No, it's like
Arc. Okay.
That would be this. Start camera. Discover devices. Searching. Maybe yes, maybe no. We'll see.
So all these models are the models and tools. They're quite good on generating front end. Like front end is something that it's super easy to do with those things, and usually they do this on the first try. Simply because internet contains a lot of JavaScript and HTML code. So they have plenty of websites to train on and how to implement some of the nice UI features. See, like we, with our very limited skills on design, we still have a very nice looking application that is absolutely no shame to show your, friends and family
and parents.
Stuff. And parents especially.
Yep.
My mom would love it because, the colors and
right.
these kind of things.
With that, thank you very much.
This is Jay Baruch.
This is Gamusa, double S.
And this is Devoxx Poland. Thank you so much for being with us.
QR code and speaking.jbaruch for, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's
QR code and speaking.jbaruch or speaking.gamov.io for the show notes. And
source code, repositories, references, links, you can find everything there. Follow us on social media, connect with us on the LinkedIn, get out to the network.
The video of this one will be done tonight. The video of tomorrow's talk will be also done tomorrow. So since you already watched it, it's a part of this one. It will be separate if you want to share only the intent integrity check part, intent integrity chain part. Speaking.jbaruch and .gamov.io has everything, have got you covered for everything else. With that, thank you very much. And as usual, have a nice day.
Yeah, as always, have a nice day.